Hey guys, yeah, I'm probably late to the game on this, but however, I still wanted to get this out because I feel like I've seen enough movies to give this list, and as you saw in the title of the video, these are my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. For me, I think 2017 was one of the best years for movies in a very long time. Animated movies, not so much. I still need to see The Breadwinner, I do want to see Loving Vincent, but for the most part, I have not seen a full 10 out of 10 animated movie yet this year, which is kind of sad. But other than animated movies, everything else was just amazing. So many movies were amazing this year. And I feel pretty confident that I can now give my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. Now, I do want to make a few disclaimers. I know some people want to separate their favorite movies from the movies that they think are the best. I don't think that way. If I say a movie is my favorite in this, that means I think it is the best, because film is subjective. It's not objective. Film's not objective. And so if I separated what my favorites from the best, well, for one, I just don't think that way. But two, it would mean that film would be objective. Saying that this is a better movie, but this is my favorite. I personally never got that. Don't kill me if you do think that. If you do separate the best from the favorites. It's just, I never got it in my mind. I just don't see movies that way. Because if I said one was the best and one was my favorite, then it would mean that it makes it sound like there's charts and graphs as to why this one is technically better. There's no I don't believe in a technically good or a technically bad movie. It's just an opinion. You can't legitimize an opinion. I've rambled on long enough. So yeah, these are my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. Now, I do have some honorable mentions, some other movies that I really loved in 2017, but they didn't quite make the list. So yeah. The first one is The Greatest Showman. I loved The Greatest Showman. Yeah, I know it's not historically accurate, but for me, it didn't bother me because within the context of its own story, it was a very feel-good movie in the best kind of way possible. And it probably also features some of the best song and dance sequences I've ever seen on film. I mean, good God! Like, one scene I don't think gets enough credit is the scene that has the song "From Now On" that in the bar. Good God, that's just so full of passion, and the dancing's amazing. I love The Greatest Showman. Hugh Jackman is a national treasure, even though he's from Australia. My next honorable mention is Baby Driver. It didn't quite make the top 10 list, but however, I still thought Baby Driver was an excellent movie. It was really quirky. That's what I love about Edgar Wright. The action was amazing, especially with the car stunts that they pulled off. Ansel Elgort proved that he was a much better actor than I gave him credit for. Hopefully he can, stay away from those Divergent movies and keep doing movies like this. So yeah, I really loved Baby Driver. Another honorable mention is Thor Ragnarok. This might be in my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Although I'm very sure that in a few years that's going to be bumped out. But I loved Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok was just so much fun. It was so trippy and weird. It's probably the weirdest movie I've seen all year, if I'm being honest. Like, good lord. Especially, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the scene where, where Jeff Goldblum's character is introduced. When a certain music choice starts kicking in, I just felt I was like, what in the world am I watching right now? In the best kind of way possible, of course. But yeah, I loved Thor Ragnarok. Another honorable mention that I think a lot of people wouldn't have in their honorable mentions, let alone their top 10s, is Kong Skull Island. I mean, really, I couldn't find anything really wrong with this movie. Now, some people complain that there wasn't a lot of characterization, just like another movie that is in my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. I felt like Kong Skull Island knew what kind of movie it was. It wasn't supposed to be a character piece. If you want a character piece, the Peter Jackson version is all the way back in 2005. You can watch it. I want to rewatch that one day. It looks pretty good. But whatever the case. But what Kong Skull Island was just trying to be was just a really awesome beat-em-up monster movie. I thought it worked aces on that. And I cannot wait to see Kong and Godzilla fight in 2020. That is good. That's going to be awesome. Another honorable mention is Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, and I thought it was just wonderful. I thought it was such a really cool Spider-Man movie. It's probably even my second favorite Spider-Man movie. I still think The Amazing Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man movie we've had yet. I know I've gotten a lot of hate for that. You can just see the comment section of my Amazing Spider-Man review. But Spider-Man Homecoming was a fantastic way to reintroduce the character of Peter Parker into the MCU. I mean, other than Captain America Civil War. It was funny. It played with a lot of things that we haven't seen Spider-Man do yet. Like, for example, the suburbs. How does Spider-Man get around the suburbs if there are no buildings or whatnot? Or anything to latch his webs onto. It's that kind I love the comedy in Spider-Man Homecoming. And it gave us one of the best MCU villains by far, with Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Wow. I was not expecting the Vulture to be that good of a villain. I thought he would probably be an okay villain like most Marvel movies. But no, the Vulture is actually legitimately threatening and legitimately... I legitimately felt sorry for him at certain scenes. But yeah, I loved Spider-Man Homecoming. Another one that just barely made the list was The Post. I love The Post. You saw my review. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Much like the other of my honorable mentions. But, The Post is still an amazing movie. It really is a very relevant story with how certain political figures want to try to silence the press after the certain political figures have done some shitty things. It's the press's job to call them out, to call those kind of people out on that. So, I felt like The Post was very relevant for today. Meryl Streep gives an amazing performance. I don't think she should win Best Actress this year at the Oscars, but I do think the nomination is certainly deserving. And Tom Hanks is also really great too. This is just a very fascinating movie, and like I said, it's very relevant and something I can deeply relate to. And the last honorable mention here is Lady Bird. Again, barely missed out on being in the list, but even then, I loved Lady Bird. It was so funny. The screenplay was so good, and it really does. It's kind of hard to explain Lady Bird, actually, because there's not really a singular plot in the movie. I mean, yeah, there is a thing where she wants to go to college, but that's sort of that plot point is sort of in the background of just, life, just random life events. And it was, I really loved Lady Bird for that. It was a little bit more different than most movies. It didn't really have a singular plot. Well, with the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into number 10. Blade Runner 2049. Good God, one of the most gorgeous movies I've ever seen in my life. The CGI is amazing. The production designing is also amazing. The cinematography by Roger Deakins is so beautiful. In fact, I'm actually hoping Blade Runner 2049 wins Best Visual Effects, because like I said in the review, there's a CGI character in the movie, and my God, I didn't even notice that when I was in the theater. Because, I have never seen the original Blade Runner. So when this character popped up on screen, I thought it was just some random character. But then when I went home and discovered, I saw this one article that said, hey, let's find out how Blade Runner 2049 de-aged this person. I'm like, wait. Huh? That was CGI? I couldn't believe it. I love Blade Runner 2049. It's a real shame it didn't make enough money. I think it was a box office bomb, and that's really sad. This was a pretty overlooked movie of 2017, box office wise. Number 9 is The Shape of Water. I'm going to try to do a review of this at some point. But The Shape of Water, again, was so beautiful. I mean, it really is Beauty and the Beast mixed with The Creature from the Black Lagoon. But yet somehow it still works. Like, somehow they make this relationship between Sally Hawkins' character and the amphibian man played by Doug Jones feel so natural. Because it's not even really just initially a romance, it's just a really good friendship and bond between two characters who can't speak, but they sort of relate to each other on that. And he doesn't, like, because he doesn't view her as different. Because, like, it's hard to explain, but I watch The Shape of Water. If it's still in the theater near you, I barely got to see it. But I'm so glad I did, and I loved The Shape of Water. Number 8 is War for the Planet of the Apes. This film is the Stanley Kubrick film that Stanley Kubrick never did. I'm serious, there are so many moments in War for the Planet of the Apes that just remind me of something that Stanley Kubrick would do. The cinematography, the visual, storytelling, the physical acting, the facial expressions, the storytelling in general. This was a Stanley Kubrick movie that Stanley Kubrick never directed. And well, for two things that in particular need praise about War for the Planet of the Apes, and that's the CGI, which is, oh my god, probably the best animal CGI I've seen ever, maybe even better than The Jungle Book. But let's not forget about the man behind the main character Caesar, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis was gut-wrenching in this role. There are scenes where, like, again, like, I don't think I would nominate him for the Oscar, but, you know, again, that's not a knock on Andy Serkis. It's just so many great lead male performances this year. Same thing with female performances, but whatever the case, Andy Serkis was just incredible. Like, this is his best motion capture performance yet. I think even better than when he did Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Number 7 is a movie that not a lot of people would probably put on their list, but I would. Split. Split was the return of M. Night Shyamalan if there ever was one. Good God. This movie is just fascinating to see just for James McAvoy. Of course, everyone else is really good as well, but this is clearly James McAvoy's show. Like, the weird, because let's face it, he has to play his character has like 28 or 24 different personalities, but we really only see like 8 of them, I think, maybe. But even with those 8, he makes them feel so distinct. From Hedwig, this little boy, who he actually kind of pulls off really well. This army general dude who's like a respectable person. This cleaning lady or whatever, I don't know what her name is. Whatever the case. There's also the Beast, which was actually terrifying. Like, holy shit. And I'm not going to get into the twist of Split, but when I found out what the twist was in this movie, oh god, it makes me so excited for M. Night Shyamalan's next movie. I am so excited. And that's a weird thing. How often can we say that we're actually excited to see a new M. Night Shyamalan movie? That's insane. This is the same guy who made The Happening, The Last Airbender, and After Earth. But however, I think because of Split, we need to remind ourselves that he did also make some really great movies, like The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, which I thought was even better than The Sixth Sense. I think Unbreakable might be my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, but Split is probably my second favorite Shyamalan movie. I do think James McAvoy should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this movie. He was that good, especially when he had to, like I said, especially when playing so many different characters and actually making them feel unique and distinct. That is props to James McAvoy and M. Night Shyamalan. The Big Sick really surprised me. Not that I thought it's not that I thought it would suck. It's that who was really thinking that The Big Sick would end up being one of the best movies of the year? I wasn't. I thought it was maybe just gonna be like this, okay, you know, fluffy, kind of comedy, but no, like The Big Sick was like it was pretty funny, but it was just very different from romantic comedies. I don't even think you could call this a romantic comedy because the majority of the movie, like usually when you see romantic comedies where the boyfriend meets the girlfriend's parents and the parents are just not or just don't like this guy, or at least the dad doesn't, and but The Big Sick takes it in a very different approach, where they don't really hate him. Like the parents, like they're not really so sure of him at first, but they very quickly warm up to him, like very quickly, and that's what I love about The Big Sick. The Big Sick is just such a feel-good movie. I mean, there are moments where it dumps some pretty harsh stuff on the main character, especially in one scene where Kumail Nanjiani is on stage, and God, that, like, I did not know he could be that great of an actor. Again, I don't know if I'd put him in for Best Actor at the Oscars, but like I said, it's just a tough year. It's nothing against his performance. Holly Hunter was great. I don't know who the actress was who played Emily. And Ray Romano. I didn't even know Ray Romano could do a performance like that. Again, probably wouldn't nominate him for Best Supporting Actor. But only because there's so many that were even better. But Ray Romano, like, this is by far his best performance yet. If you haven't watched The Big Sick, watch it. It's on Blu-ray. It's on Amazon. Watch it. It is so, so good. We're getting very close, guys. We're now entering my top 5 favorite movies of 2017. It's going to get pretty close, but let's get on to number 5. Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri was so, so good. Like, oh my god, like, it's one of those movies where I don't know if it's a comedy or a drama. I mean, you could probably call it a dramedy, but if I were to actually categorize it as a drama or a comedy, I would very much have a hard time choosing, because this movie does have some searing, hefty drama that just destroys you on the inside. But at the same time, this movie can get really, really funny, especially the banter between Frances McDormand's character and Sam Rockwell's character, who I'm finally glad Sam Rockwell's getting this attention. I'm so glad he's finally getting the attention he deserves, because he is so, so great in this movie. And same goes to Woody Harrelson. Like, whenever these three banter between each other, it's so funny. It's so funny seeing them interact. And I think this is probably even the best written movie of the year. Like, if we're talking about the script, this is probably the best script of the year. It is just bonkers insane, and it's just so quotable. God damn it, Dixon! I'm in the middle of my goddamn Easter dinner. Sorry, kids. Oh god, I love Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I hope Frances McDormand wins Best Actress this year. I hope she does. Christopher Nolan has done it again. Dunkirk is amazing. This is one of, if not, at least for me anyways, the best war movie I've seen. Like, again, sort of like Kong Skull Island, this is not a character-driven movie, but it makes up for that by showcasing what is the focus: the war. And this is some of the best war filmmaking I've seen in my life. I mean, like I said in my review, they actually strapped IMAX cameras, which are very big and very expensive, to the wings and even the fronts of actual World War II Spitfire planes, and just doing all these aerial stunts that just blow my mind as to how in the world did they do those kind of shots? I mean, it's just such a tangible movie. It's so tangible with how much real stuff that Christopher Nolan used in this movie. Which is why, like I said, I probably wouldn't nominate this for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars, because it's just too real. Like, whenever a ship blows up and sinks into the ocean, it's actually a ship blowing up and sinking into the ocean. If there's a shot that's in a plane, the plane is actually in the sky, and the camera is strapped to the plane. It is unbelievable how, like, the craftsmanship in Dunkirk, so amazing. If Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy had not existed, Logan would be the greatest comic book superhero movie of all time. This is a raw, emotional movie. Like this is the kind of movie you want to see if you want to see deep characters and character development. This just pulls so much reality on what it's like for Logan, aka Wolverine, to be almost immortal. Because, as we've seen, he's been around for centuries. And now age is finally starting to catch up with him. And he's just an old, battered, ugh. He's getting, his wounds are just not clearing up as they used to. And it's just, this got, like, some of the stuff that Logan wants to do in this movie is just insane. But you can really understand why, because he's just sick of this. He is just sick of this fucking awful life that he's had. And, oh my god, and Hugh Jackman is just outstanding as Wolverine. Logan, for that matter. And Patrick Stewart, I am so sad that he did not get nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. He was fantastic. This is like, I would, if he were nominated, I would vote for Patrick Stewart for Best Supporting Actor. He is, like, Patrick Stewart, like, it's weird. I wasn't really that fascinated with any of the other Patrick Stewart Xaviers in the previous movies. I mean, the best way I can describe it is, if you were to ask me which overall Xavier I think is the better Xavier, then I'd probably go for the James McAvoy version. Hey, James McAvoy, we already just talked about him. In the new X-Men movies. But if we're just going by the single movie, then, shocking to say it, but, you know, Patrick Stewart in Logan just blew me away. And Daphne Keane as X-23, like, again, like, this little girl who has not acted before was carrying her own weight against Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. That is amazing. One of the best child performances I've seen in a long time. The action is amazing, the drama is heart-wrenching, and the ending, oh god, that ending made me cry. I just cannot get enough of Logan. This is a fantastic movie, and I am so glad it was nominated for the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar, which has never been done by any other comic book superhero movie, by the way. Number 2 is The Disaster Artist. This was just such a, like, it's so weird how far The Room has come. Like, not Room starring Brie Larson, like, The Room that starred and was directed by and written by and produced by and executive produced by Tommy Wiseau. This awful movie, The Room, a movie that is so bad that is hilarious, mind you, like led to the inspiration to make a book about how that movie was made, and now it's made into a movie. And now The Disaster Artist is a movie based on the Disaster Artist book, which was based on the production of The Room, one of the worst movies of all time. And now The Disaster Artist is also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. It's just so weird how far The Room has come. But let me just get into The Disaster Artist a little bit more. The Disaster Artist was such a good look at filmmaking. Because let's face it, no matter how small your movie is, it's like it's going to be hard making a movie. I know. Remember that really awful handicapped movie I made when I was 13? You can find it on my channel. It's like the first video well, technically it's not the first video I uploaded, but it's the first one, but it's the earliest one that's still on there because I deleted a lot of the other stuff. Like, that shit's gone. I don't know where, I can't find the earlier ones. But, yeah, even when I was doing handicapped when I was 13, and it's an awful short trailer thing. I don't know what it is. But, like, even that, like, took almost all day to do. So, I can't even imagine what it would be like to even do The Room, which is just insane how hard that must have been. But even then, it still does not mean that The Room is a good movie. It's not. But seeing Greg Sestero, played by Dave Franco, and James Franco as Tommy Wiseau, like, butting heads and even getting along, like, it's such an interesting concept. And it feels so natural. Because even though, of course, a lot of the stuff didn't happen in real life, like, there were some changes, like, even then, it still feels natural. I still think James Franco should have gotten a nomination for Best Actor for The Disaster Artist. I still think he should have. He does a fantastic job as Tommy Wiseau. And I think, yeah, I do think he should have been nominated. And, like, it's just so funny, like, when you see the, like, especially with Seth Rogen's character, who's basically our eyes and ears. He's basically the audience character, like, why in the world is he fucking her belly button? Like, he knows where her vagina is, right? I mean, there are so many moments in this movie that just made me laugh out loud. And the ending was really, really heartfelt. Again, I'm not really going to say what happens in the ending, but it makes you appreciate filmmaking even more. Even when you see a bad movie, like, it's hard to explain, but, oh, I love The Disaster Artist so much. And again, like, this movie about one of the worst movies ever made is surprisingly inspirational when it comes to making movies for me. And yeah, number one, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on this, I don't care, is Get Out. Get Out is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in my life. I mean, God, like, Get Out is so, so clever. I've almost said just about everything I needed to say in my review. Get Out is so clever with its metaphors about racism or even non-racism. Really clever visual metaphors. Daniel Kaluuya's performance is amazing. I'm glad he got nominated for an Oscar. Jordan Peele, like, is so shocking as to how well he helms horror, especially, like, with a lot of the really, like I said, the really clever visual metaphors in Get Out. Like, actually, I'm not going to say them. And oddly enough, the movie's also pretty funny at times. I mean, with little jokes, especially the one involving Barack Obama, and the character, the TSA character played by Lil Rel Howery. Good God, like, that kind of stuff is really funny. I don't think I call this a straight up comedy. I still think this is a horror movie, but this just shows me that horror is really taking chances with different directions it can go. And yeah, really, like Get Out is so amazing. I'm so glad that I saw it. So glad I bought it on Blu-ray, and so glad that it's gotten nominated for 4 Oscars, especially 3 of them going to Jordan Peele. I don't know if he's gonna win any. I think he probably could win Best Original Screenplay, although there's also 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and and I'd say that probably 3 Billboards would be my choice for the writing. But if Get Out wins, I'm not gonna be disappointed at all. But I just love Get Out. Get Out is so good. I don't care if any of you out there think it's overrated. Like, it's 99% Rotten Tomatoes. That's not good. I don't care. I don't care. I was astounded by Get Out. It was so fantastic. So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. Now the question is, what are your top 10 favorite movies of 2017? Before I go on with my outro, be sure to vote at the Nerdy Awards. The Nerdy Movie Awards, I should say. Vote for your choices at nerdymovieawards.weebly.com. Right there you can click on that link and explore the nominees and vote for your choices. Because there's going to be a lot of big stars. I mean, not really big stars, but stars that are bigger than me that are going to be presenting at the Nerdy Movie Awards. Like Erod the Blockbuster Buster, Tom Chattelbash. I'm going to try to get more, so don't be surprised if maybe the Nerdy Movie Awards comes out in April or something. It's just the way it works. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you think of my top 10 favorite movies of 2017. Give this video a like, share the video so we can get the channel circulated, and if you want to see more, and after this message, click this. Do you like my videos? Do you know how hard it is to make my videos? Huh? Do you? Anyways, why not consider becoming a patron on my Patreon? Just $10 a month and you're already contributing so much to me. This way I can help with purchasing Movie Pass every month. I can get new, better equipment. Overall, it just means better videos for you guys. Check out my Patreon, check out the perks, and see if you're interested.